The reason basically being is I have literally been sat here for the last 15 minutes getting it working, had it working for 2 minutes, and then it went horribly wrong. So that's always fun as a thing. Anyway, let's see if we're live because I'm using Facebook Producer and I have no fucking clue right now. So if I am live, hello and welcome to another episode of Think Like a Copywriter. It's your boy Adil and Amarsi is pain in the ass. Let's get into it. The reason I say fuck Zoom is because they actually worked for a minute and then they didn't. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna end that recording and start this one. Cool. All right. So today's episode of Think Like a Copywriter is a link as always in the description. On top of that, we're also going to be discovering and out how to actually specifically stories and conversions. And I'm going to be looking over my shoulder constantly because, well, I have shitheads of cats which things on that they don't really like. Hey, Bogdan, good to see you, man. All right, so let's go on with today's live. Which story to tell and when, and how to control the conversation copy, as well as an update on the challenge. So the challenge update is quite simple. Everyone seems to really like it, which is really nice. I've had some people buy in. I've had some people actually spread the word. It's kind of cool. I'm enjoying what's going on. Um, Outside of that, though, however, let's see. I am looking at basically getting a couple more people in, which is lovely. So if you haven't joined the challenge already, what are you waiting for? Seriously, you get time with me live to walk you through how to write your goddamn emails. That's like getting a set. That is essentially getting a $700 million copywriter to go. So this is how you don't fuck it up. It's like a no-brainer, but still, whatever, things happen. But the upside is that there's always going to be space for you guys to join. It's evergreen because let's be honest, a lot of people got mad at me. They were like, well, you don't have anything low end. I'm like, yeah, I don't. And then I create something low end, and the same people were like, you're charging too little. It was the weirdest dichotomy of a conversation. But as I said, you can get literally everything from start to finish of that entire funnel for a complete payment of $268. But when the final upsell goes live after I've created it, which is the end of May, I think it's going to cost you in the region of about $500-600 to get everything. But still, hey, not too bad, right? Okay, so let's get right into it. Today's episode is all about knowing which stories to tell and when. So there are different times when you want to tell different stories. Specifically, you can tell your origin story, you can tell the story of your struggles, you can tell the story of how your cats annoy the shit out of you or your dogs. You can tell the story of how you actually came up with a hook or an idea or a case study or a testimonial or any one of a million things you can literally come up and tell a story of, because there are those that you can do. Now, it's all about knowing what to say and when to say it and who to say it to. So, if what you're saying is you want to influence your audience in order to get them to say yes and buy from you because you've got a launch, then you want to actually start creating the narrative ahead of time of establishing yourself and your audience, your authority. You're showing up every single day. You're doing exactly what you do. You basically just are. That's all it is. Just a quick heads up, by the way, guys. I'm going to be done in about 6 minutes, just simply because I have a hard stop at 3:20 today. Now, that being said, however, we're rocking and rolling into it directly. Um, yeah, so you want to look through your entire blueprint that I gave you guys, which is, defeat, purpose, all the other fun stuff. Figure out which story that your audience really needs to hear right now. Do they need an inspirational story? Do they need a story that's actually going to get them into action? Is there going to be a story that you start right in the middle? Is it a multi-tiered part story like an Infinity Saga? What is that? As long as you do this and figure this shit out, you're actually pretty golden. That's kind of the key thing. Once you know, goddamn, sorry, left a jacket there. I was wondering what that was. Once you know, far more comfortable. Once you know exactly what it is that you want your audience to feel, and you know what story they're actually craving, you can put the two together, and now you have something that is fairly unstoppable. And the way that you actually sit down and write them is quite simple. You start off with the exact story in mind. Like, okay, so I'm going to tell you this is the reason why I'm telling you, this is how it works in, and this is the time that teaches a parable. The key thing is your story has to constantly pre-sell who you are. They have to validate exactly your existence, but also they have to have an air of truthfulness to it. So the way that you do this is by truly being vulnerable, by being who you are and admitting your flaws as well as your victories. It's how you basically maintain the balance of being human. Perfect example. I have a really hard time when people walk up to me and go, "Oh my God, I'm so glad that you actually spent time to talk to me." I was like, "Why wouldn't I talk to you?" Like that's the genuine thought in my mind, because in my head I'm like, I'm just a regular guy. Like it's very easy to come say hello to me. Like I've had it with people at seminar. I was walking through London last year, when you could still go outside, and I had a guy literally stop me in the middle of the street and go, "Oh my God, you're Adil Amarsi." I was like, "Oh my God, who the fuck are you?" And it turned out to be some dude named Michael who I was friends with and did an interview with. He was a great guy. Um, Great marketer, by the way, if you haven't actually seen him. Michael Valmont, I think his name is. But Michael basically like, pulled me out. And I was with some friends that were in the business, but not really in the business. And they looked at me like, "Oh, who you? What you doing?" That kind of thing. So it's quite interesting. Like, who is this guy and why does he have people calling him out? Um, but I can tell that story of like how you can actually be seen practically everywhere just by being yourself. You can take a story like it was so weird. I bumped into someone, and it's all about. It's crazy how you create a positive vibe, who you are, what you are, and you show up in that same way. Because when this person met me, I was the exact same way as I was online, and if it wasn't like that online, and they met me and I blanked them, I don't think I'd have a fan anymore. I wouldn't have someone that basically is cool with me. It's also the same reason why, like, you have boundaries of exactly what you're comfortable with. Me, I'm comfortable getting on calls with people I care about and want to help out. At times, that means I'm not comfortable getting on calls with people because I am just in my own headspace. But for the majority of the time, I will. So for you, the way that you do this is you find the story of what you can tell your audience to be. So for instance, I tell that story now because I want people to know that I'm helpful and they will have them easy to communicate with, so you can get in touch with me. So the more relatable I am to you, the more easy it is for you to get in touch with me, the more it is likely that I can actually either work together with you down the line or influence you or help you in some shape or way or form or whatever it is. And that's kind of like one of the things you want to do when you actually build these stories. Um, so when you choose them is specifically when someone has an emotion and you want to basically shift into that emotion or shift them into an emotion where they're actually a little bit more on your side. That's another thing to do. How to control the conversation in copy is quite simple because you can actually lose track of the conversation in a sales letter as well as an email by waffling on and actually losing interest of what's going on around you. So as long as you keep your audience captivated and entertained, read it back to yourself. Find anywhere that you find yourself going into a wobble of a conversation and then bring it back. The other thing that you could actually really find as well, keeping control of the conversation in sales copy or in any conversation really, is allowing the other person to speak and not interrupting them. If you're being interrupted by them, let them talk, let them get it out of them, and then answer. The simple reason is whenever you get into a crazy bitch fight of an argument like that, you lose power and authority fairly quickly. It's a disrupting tool if you don't you if it's used on you. It's very disruptive to interrupt you. So, how to control that conversation is from the very get go, make it very obvious that you're telling a story and you're going to get to all the points. Like for me, the way I do it is I give you a headline, a subheadline that intrigues you, and then I give you an opening paragraph. But before I get into that, hey, Anne, before I get into the actual main bit of who I am, I've given you enough reason to know what I'm going to say to you is going to be relevant and prevalent to you. And then obviously you've got the ideals that I'm giving you in between. So it's actually really, really fun as an easy way of doing this. Like I go back in to explain who I am because at that point I've given you everything that you need to know what's going to be said in the sales letter, but you're also curious in who I am. So I give you all of this. So that's basically how you would do it. Is just start out by actually from the very get go, give them enough to know what's going to happen in the sales letter and the email, but not enough they can just skip right ahead. They'll have other questions, answer everything, and always remind yourself that what would it be like if you were talking to a friend in person? What would you ask them? What would be in the way? What would come up? So that is it. So, guys, I will see you on Monday, the 4th. May the 4th be with you around this time. And then, of course, if you're part of the challenge, I will see you in 40 minutes from now. Live on our private group where I will hopefully get Zoom working a little better and we can actually sort some stuff out. That being said, I've been Adil Marcy, and please go check out thinklikeacopywriter.com/the-challenge. You can join at any time, but if you join before May the 4th, actually before May the 18th, you can hop onto live calls with me and Q&As with me. because we'll archive the videos in the group so you guys can actually get access to them. And of course, May 20th, we have the website going live so you guys can have everything forever and drip feed the content out to you. That said, take care, have an amazing day, and I'll speak to you guys real soon. And I've got to end my live, and that's what I need to do. There we go. Ta-da.